Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is April 28th, 2026, and Barcelona just completed the signing of an incredibly promising Polish player. Also, Barcelona now targeting or considering Joao Pedro as the number one alternative to Julian Alvarez. And finally, Barcelona also eyeing another World Cup winner, well, Lautaro Martinez. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. We'll begin this video with the news that today I witnessed one of the most exciting Champions League matches in the most recent years, where PSG defeated Bayern Munich 5-4 at Parc Prince, whatever the hell their stadium is called. I don't remember. I don't care. I'm so excited about this match that I don't even care what the stadium is called. But PSG beat Bayern Munich 5-4 in what was an incredible first leg of the Champions League semifinals. If you did not watch this match, I implore you to watch the replay or at least watch the highlights, because it was an incredible matchup. The real final here, as opposed to whoever advances from this versus whoever advances between Arsenal and Atletico de Madrid. And the reason I bring this up, not only because it's important Champions League news, but because this is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is the football that we all want to see. Two teams who are highly offensive, who are courageous, who are not scared to attack or not scared to leave space behind them, who are not scared to concede goals, who are not scared to be exposed. Two teams that stick to their identity, that go all out for their identity, and that continue to go all out for their identity no matter what is going on in the match, whether they're winning, they're losing, or they're tying. And as a result, we got, well, one of the most exciting Champions League matches in recent history. And to think that when Barcelona would do this, people would say, oh, you cannot go around the Champions League playing like this. But today we saw two teams playing just like that. And what are all the pundits and reporters and social media accounts and YouTubers saying? Oh, what an amazing match. So when Barcelona does it, all of a sudden it's not good enough for the Champions League, or you shouldn't do it if you're in the Champions League. But when it's PSG and Bayern Munich, all of a sudden, oh, how amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want to see. I want to see entertainment. After all, that's what football is. And this is why Johan Cruyff said, I'd rather win 5-4 than 1-0, because this is what he meant, is playing this kind of football that at the end of the day is highly entertaining. And if you're not being entertained by football, then why the hell are you watching to begin with? Nobody wants to see Real penalties or Getafe or all these pathetic teams park the bus and just play highly defensive football and just shoot long balls to the strikers and hope to score a goal. No, this is what we want to see. And as the famous character from the movie Gladiator said, are you not entertained? Because I sure was. Anyways, let me know your thoughts and opinions about this match if you watched it, because I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about this spectacle of goals. 9 goals. 9 goals in one match. I mean, at this point, the aggregate score is going to be like 20-19. And what a match. And by the way, who the hell is going to want to watch Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal after we watch this show? I don't know. But again, I want to hear you guys' thoughts about today's semifinal. All right, on to the next bit of news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have signed yet another promising player in their continued effort to identify young promising players all around the world and bring them to the greatest academy in the world, La Masia. And the newest signing is someone we talked about previously on this channel several months ago, and it's no other than Cristian Pablo Goro. I think that's how you say it. Probably not 99% chance that that's not how you say it, but let's just go with Goral. If you don't know who Goral is, because you missed the last time we talked about him here on the channel, he's a young midfielder who Barcelona just signed for their under-13 setup. Barcelona have been tracking him for quite some time, and in fact, they invited him to play in La Masia last year, where as soon as he played his first match against Mercantil, he immediately made an impact, and he immediately showed the world that he is one of the most exciting young players currently in his category. Now, if you want to know what kind of player Goral is, he's a technically gifted midfielder with a natural instinct for goal, very, very important because, midfielders, most of the time, not really goal scorers. This guy has it both. So, Keistan Pablo Goral, Barcelona's newest signing for their academy. May he continue to develop. May he become extremely successful. And may he one day join the first team and help us continue winning more and more trophies. Now, speaking of signings, we move on to the big bombshell news today because, as you know, Barcelona will be in the market for a center forward come this summer transfer market. Their number one objective is Julian Alvarez, who wants to come to Barca, but Atletico Madrid don't want to sell. And if they do sell, they're going to want a lot of money. Anyways, a operation that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. I don't want to say impossible, but improbable unless somehow Julian decides to force his exit. But of course, since it is a difficult operation, Barcelona are preparing alternatives. And it's reported that Barca's right now number one alternative is a player that Barcelona considered in the past, who's no other than Joao Pedro. Because why? Because his name is Joao, and we like to collect players whose name are Joao. Just kidding, of course. But if you don't know who Joao Pedro is, he's a 24-year-old Brazilian currently playing at Chelsea. He joined from Brighton, where he shined. Of course, he did share a locker room with Ansu Fati. So far, he has scored 19 goals and provided 9 assists in 49 matches for Chelsea, an incredible number, given that he's not really a definitive starter for Chelsea. And he's not a definitive starter for Chelsea, not because he lacks the skill or talent to be one, but because, of course, Chelsea have signed 259 other center forwards because simply that's what they do. Now, Joao Pedro has become Barcelona's favorite alternative to replace Julian Alvarez, given his versatility, his creativity, and also his finishing, because Joao Pedro is someone that not can only play as a 9, someone that's in the box, that's a reference point that can get passes and convert them into goals, but he could also drop to the wings when needed. He can drop down to the middle of the field to receive the ball with his back to the opposing goal. He is a mobile 9, someone that can move around as needed to shake up defenses and to get through defenses, and that's exactly the kind of profile that Barcelona are looking for. Now, normally Joao Pedro would cost a lot of money, 80 to 90 million euros, but given Chelsea's situation, Barcelona think that they could probably sign him between 50 to 60 million euros. Why? Because right now Chelsea have a lot of problems. They have spent over billion with a B, euros in the last 3 years. So they have a big liquidity problem. They also have a sporting problem where they have signed 1 million players and they don't know what to do with them. And they're constantly going through players like a person goes through underwear, and coaches the same thing. And of course, they also have a financial fair play problem. So all these problems combined will force Chelsea to offload players. And when a club is forced to offload players, what happens? Well, prices go down. And this is when Barcelona could take advantage of that situation to sign Joao Pedro, another player who I get to call Joao, because why? Now, honestly, when I heard this news, I was very ecstatic because even though I do think Julian Alvarez is a better player, if I had to choose, even if both their prices were the same, I would choose Joao Pedro. Not because he's better, but because he's a better profile for Barcelona. I think he's a more complete profile. He is a player that can play in between lines, something that Julian can also do. But the difference is that Joao Pedro is someone that can drop down to the middle of the field to receive the ball with his back to the opposing goal, something that Julian, not as good as Joao Pedro. Also, Joao Pedro is better playing inside the box as opposed to Julian, who likes to maneuver on the edges of the box. Also, Joao Pedro is someone who's really good with his head. He scores a lot of goals with headers, something that Julian also is not as good as him. Again, overall, I think Julian is a better player, but as far as what Barcelona needs, I think that Joao Pedro is a more complete profile, or a better fit for Barcelona. Let's put it that way, a better fit for Barcelona. But of course, that's just my opinion. I want to hear yours. What do you think about Joao Pedro for Barcelona? Do you like him? Do you not? Let me know why down below in the comment section. And let's end this video by talking about another World Cup winner. Now, I'm not referring to Joao Pedro, I'm referring to Julian, of course. He's a World Cup winner. But the other World Cup winner is no other than Lautaro Martinez, because once again, Barcelona are considering him. Of course, Barcelona have been considering Lautaro for many seasons. He's 28 years old, has a contract with Inter Milan until 2029. This season, he has scored 20 goals and provided 4 assists in 36 matches, and he has a market value of 85 million euros. But like Chelsea, Inter Milan also have problems. Their problems are a little bit different because Inter Milan are one of the most in-debt clubs in all of Europe. So this summer, they will also be looking to sell. So Barcelona are monitoring Lautaro's situation to see if they could take advantage of Inter Milan's situation, financial situation, to try to sign the Argentine, again, someone that Barcelona have been tracking for quite some time. Now, unlike Joao Pedro, I see this a lot less likely, because even though, yes, Inter Milan are forced to sell players, one of them will be Bastoni in order to generate liquidity. Lautaro, as far as I know, has been placed on the do not sell list. So yes, Inter Milan are looking to sell players to make money, but Lautaro is not one of them. So I don't see them wanting to sell him, unless, of course, he says, yes, sell me. But then in that case, they're going to want a lot of money because he is their prized possession. So I see this as less likely as opposed to Joao Pedro, where Chelsea are more likely to sell Joao Pedro than Inter are to sell Lautaro Martinez. But of course, I will pose this hypothetical question. Everything set aside, if you had to pick Lautaro or Joao Pedro, forget the money, forget the financial fair play. Say they're both on the market. Barcelona can afford both. Everything's good to go. Who would you pick? Joao Pedro or Lautaro? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Anyways, that is all for this video. I did upload another video a few moments ago. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, peace, guys.